Central Bank of the United States was founded in 1913. Guess what else was founded in 1913?
The Federal Reserve and the IRS.
Yep. And so when you look at all this, and then if you read Marx, he says that a progressive income tax is necessary for the spread of communism. Now, the poor are already poor, but when you raise inflation, the price of fuel, the middle class got poor.
In the Communist Manifesto, number 5, he had 10 points, was the creation of a central bank.
Right.
So central banks are part of Marxism.
Of course, the central bank is communism, central controlled economy. Central bank.
Yeah.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shemel Shai. I want to give double honors to the apostles of great mercy and do well. Salutation to the men of the hopeful and sincere elect. This is Brother Marcus out here in Trinidad. I just want to do a little edification for the elect's sake. And as you saw from the video here, we're talking about the central bank and how basically it was invented or established on the sole purpose of control and broadening the gap between the rich and the poor by removing the middle class. All right. So, he was just speaking about, raising gas prices and whatnot. Last night, I watched a video on, the Prime Minister of Trinidad, Keith Rowley, and they were comparing his interview with an interview with, I believe, with the Sabgas and whatnot. Some rich elites here in Trinidad, and they were talking about, Trinidad good to them and whatnot, and they were talking about, gas prices being increased and it basically removing the middle class. All right. And even Keith Rowley in his interview said that nothing wrong with the rich getting richer, but you have to create, opportunities for the rich to get richer to make opportunities for the poor. So basically, get the rich richer, but just keep the poor fed. All right. And that is basically what the central bank was created for. It was created as control, because I was looking for the article but I couldn't find it. I read probably over 10 years ago, and they was going into how a central bank was received by countries. There were two means by which a central bank was implemented into our country: one by will, one by force. All right. Hence the reason you see certain countries, like back in 2001, you could still find that interview with a guy that worked in the White House, and he said that documents were handed on to him about 7 nations that they wanted to invade. All right, starting with Iraq, ending with Iran, and all those 7 countries on that list had one thing in common: a lack of a central bank. All right, so they want total control. But upon receiving the central bank, there is a high loan that one must take. All right, you have to take a high loan, which will always have you indebted to Babylon the Great, which is America. All right, and this takes me into this scripture. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 6, and I'll read it through in other translations, and also I will go into the word take claim. This is Habakkuk 2 and 6 in the King James Version. It says, you know what? Let me read verse 5 first. It says, yea, also because he transgressed by wine, by philosophies, by his doctrine, by his laws that he implements. All right. He is a proud man, neither keep it here at home. He always in everybody's countries. If this is not the so-called white man Esau that dwelling in America, then this Habakkuk chapter 2 irrelevant. All right. It says, neither keep it here at home. He in all countries being a peacekeeper, but yet you can't deal with your own domestic issues. Who enlargeneth his desires hell. All right. You go in countries, you waging war, you so-called going to help against terrorism, which you funded, giving you an excuse to enter into the country, and then you never leave. You just pillage and plunder that nation of their goods. All right. And cannot be satisfied, but gather it unto him all nations, and heap it unto him all people, that great cosmopolitan society. It says, shall not these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, saying, woe unto him that increaseth that which is not his. By you going into countries and raping those nations of their natural resources, you increasing that which is not theirs. And by the implementation and the invention of the central bank and forcing it upon people, upon these countries, you increasing that which is not yours, because through the central bank you are actually pillaging these countries. How long? And to him that ladeneth himself with thick clay. All right. So when you go into other versions, all right, like the New King James Version, it says, and to him who loads himself with many pleasures. The NLT, it says, you will become rich by extortion. All right, because when you go into the word thick clay, it actually goes into pledges. And a pledge, let me read this real quick. This is the book of Exodus 22 and 26. It says, if thou at all take thy neighbor's raiment to pledge. Basically, a pledge is like a promise to, just like with Judah and Tamar. Judah said, you know, what will you take for me to lie with you? And he said, well, give me your signet, your ring, and your staff until you make the payment. And he gave his signet and his staff. And that is the reason why he sent the goat after the goat was payment, so that he could receive back which is his. It's like when you have like a gold chain and you know you loan cash and you want to make some money, you go to the pawn shop, you pawn, let's say your chain is worth $10,000, but you don't want to sell it, you don't want $10,000, you want $1,000. So you go, you pawn it for $1,000, and then when you get back the $1,000, you pay back the $1,000 with an increase, all right, you know, with interest. So the pawn shop makes, and you know, you got the $1,000 that you needed for credit, all right. But what some people do, as the scripture says, by increasing that which is not theirs. Let's say this pawn shop now, when the guy returns the chain, he brings it out, or let's say $1,200, the 200 interest, and to collect his chain, then the pawn shop man will say, you know what, you took too long, all right, you took too long. Now you have to pay $3,000 to get back the chain because you took too long. The interest ran up. Now you don't have $3,000, and you don't know, and you know, you like in Trinidad, I believe it's like a certain amount of months they would keep your item for before they put it up on an auction. So you realizing that, hey, the auction date coming up close and you don't have $3,000, you left with a conundrum. Is that you try and find the $3,000, or you just, you know, cut that loose end, all right? And if you cut that loose end, then guess what? The guy, he just made $8,800 on your head. Or if you pay the $3,000, he just made not only a 200 interest, he actually made an additional, I believe it's $2,000 on your head. All right, or additional $1,800 on your head. All right, so you're increasing that which is not his by robbery. All right, so when you go back here, it says what? It says, and to him that loads himself with many pledges. All right, so I want to look up the word thick clay, and when you go to the word thick clay, it says what? With weight of pledges, heavy debt. All right. It says something pledged, i.e. collectively pawned goods. Look at here. Pawned goods. So they pawn their goods and you rob them of their pawned goods, increasing pledges on you. You increasing the pledge. The pledges are debt. The pledge is actually a sign of debt. All right? Because you just gave up what you have, which shows that you're in debt. You didn't sell what you have. You pawned it, and you have to pay back. So you in debt. All right, but that debt to somebody else is wealth. The man that pawn that how to say, that has your goods, He is the for lack of a better word, benefactor. He's the one that benefiting. All right. He's the one that benefiting from your debt. All right. And when you go to the etymology of the word, take clay, it says what? To take a pledge, give a pledge. To take a pledge, give a pledge. It says interchange, to cause to give a pledge. All right. So that is basically what it says. What? Pledge of goods, hence load of debt which one has contracted. All right. It says the meaning is taken from the accumulation of pledges. So you accumulating pawned goods. You robbing people because you have a system set up where every time somebody comes to pawn something, you go against the contract and you rob them of their goods and become rich, which the so-called white man Esau in America, that is what he does. All right. NLT says rich by extortion. The ASV says what? Who increased that which is not his, how long, and leaneth himself with pledges, with pawned goods. All right. Pledges, say here, by extortion. That is extortion. All right. By the use of the central bank in a country, you extorting people to become rich. All right. Says what? Leading himself with thick clay, with heavy pledges. All right. By extortion. It says what? It says, woe unto him who piles up stolen goods. All right. And makes himself wealthy by extortion. And that is America, the great US of A. Not only so, but even in their banking system, where if you want to all right, this guy, it had this guy here in Trinidad. I forgot what his name was. I think it was Sharon. He was an Elamite, all right, an Indian. And he was in a car dealership business with used cars. And what he would do, he would sell you these cars. Let's say you made a $10,000 down payment, and you have to pay $2,000 per month for, let's say, 2 years, right? And let's say there are 2 months coming up to complete your payment, and you probably missed a month. He will come now, because he was in so-called gangs. He will come now, he will take back the car, saying that you broke the contract, you breached the contract, so you lost that car. You didn't only lost that car, you actually lost the 10,000 down payment, all right, and a year and 10 months of payment. All right, a year and 10 months of payment. And he did that a lot. Where he would look for any avenue where he could take back the car, where he would now have that car to sell over and make a large profit off of people. As it says, who maketh himself wealthy by extortion. And that is what America does. It makes themselves wealthy by extortion.
Central Bank, of the United States was founded in 1913. Guess what else was founded in 1913? It says that a progressive income.
When you look here, it says what? Communism manifesto. It says abolition of private property. Means that your private property now goes back to the government. It's government owned. And right here in Trinidad, you have to pay a hefty property tax. So you buying a land, and then you have to pay an annual rent free, because this is not your land. You paying for the land. If $2 million for the land, you pay for the land, and then you have to pay, let's say, $1,000 every year or more. Depends on the size of the land or the business that you have on the land, what you have on the property. You have to pay that every year because you renting the land. It's not yours. It says heavy progressive income tax, where you paying tax consistently, incessantly. It says abolition of all rights of inheritance. Increase that which is not his. Confiscation of property of all immigrants and rebels. Central bank, another form of robbery. Government control of communications and transportation. Full control government ownership of facilities and agriculture. season of property. The season, what is your, that which increased it, that which is not his. Government control of labor, they own you. All right. Corporate farms and regional planning, it says government control education. So everything is owned by the government. They take all your riches, everything is owned by the government. Everything that you had, that you might have inherited, they take all of that. Everything that a country has, they take it all. They take it all to themselves. They increase it, that which is not theirs. And this all begins with the country receiving a central bank. They take full ownership of that country, especially when the country can't pay back the heavy loan that was forced upon them by the central bank. All right. This is Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1. It says, "Warn to them that decree unrighteous decrees and write grievousness which they have prescribed." All right, and let's see what I say in different versions. It says, the New King James Version, it says, woe to those who decree unrighteous decrees, who write misfortune. Yeah, misfortune, because your laws are misfortune to others, which they prescribe. All right, it says, what sorrow awaits the unjust judges. All right, those who issue unfair laws. Boom, boom, boom. The Derby. It says DBY. It says, woe unto them that decree iniquitous decrees. All right. And to the writers that prescribe oppression. A central bank was created upon the sole purpose of oppression. Hence the reason why Andrew Jackson died fighting against the central bank. All right. He died fighting against the central bank. All right. Because it was only created to rob the people. All right, to make poor one group and to make rich another group. Because it's not owned by the state, it's actually owned by private investors, by the Rothschild, the Oppenheimers, the Bilderbergs. All right, these wealthy bankers are the ones that run the world. All right, these wealthy bankers are the ones that run the world. All right. And when you go to, in Habakkuk 2:6, all right, and you go in like the commenter section, all right, let me see, let me look at some of them. This is boom, boom, boom. All right. Leadeth himself with thick clay, says, namely gold and silver dug out of the clay, of which they are part. It says, a covetous man in heaping them together is only laden it himself with thick clay. All right, so America is ladening themselves with thick clay by means of robbery, because the word thick clay actually goes back to pledges. Basically, it's something owned by one person and another person basically taking over their goods, their pledges by covetous means. All right. It says here to lay it himself. It says with thick clay, it says gold and silver, so called. It says lower the value of them. Lower the value of them. So you lower the value of something means that now these people have to give you more of it. You controlling the market. So let's say gold has value. All right. So let's say 1 gram of gold could have bought a loaf of bread. Now you said, listen, that 1 gram of gold can no longer buy a loaf of bread. You have to pay me 10 grams to get the same loaf of bread. You know what you're doing? You actually raping the wealth from those countries. That is why they took away the gold standard. So now they control all the wealth. So now you have to give them all the gold while you remaining poor. Now you have to go and work incessantly more hard to make that same amount of gold while they hoarding all the gold to themselves. If this is not America, I don't know who is. If this is not Esau, the so-called white man, I do not know who is. All right, let's look on in Cambridge, Tickley, and that leading to himself with pledges, that which he compels nations to give him or takes from them by force is compared to pledges which he heaps up upon himself. All right, and that is what America does by means of the central bank, by their banking system, by their heavy tax imposed on nations. All right, the property tax and all these things, it all created to rob everyone that lives in the basically in the world. They want complete control, but the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua not gonna give them complete control because it's not for them. It's not for them. All right. The complete control of the world is for what? It's for Israel. Right? This is the book of Nahum, chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, woe to the bloody city, it is full of lies and robbery. The prey departed not. Yeah, it is full of lies and robbery. All right? It is full of lies and robbery. And you robbing the nations by what? By your taxes, your central banks, and you taking their pledges, laying yourself with heavy debt, because that is their debt. That is a sign that they are in debt. All right. Let's say I need to do repairs on a house and I need $20,000. I don't have $20,000, so I have a car and I said, look, I need $20,000. I want to pawn my car. Take my car and give me the $20,000. We sign our agreement, say, you know what? You have 5 months to pay off $20,000. Not $30,000. I have to pay $10,000 as interest. I say, all right, no problem. I go and almost to the end of the five months, all right, I come up with the $30,000. When I go, they said, there was some clause or some mishap, and the date already passed and I took too long, so now I owe them double the amount because the interest kept going up. All right, and they might find some other clause because of the year of the car, and the car wasn't up to standard, so now I owe them a certain amount to receive back the car. Now I'm left with the conundrum where I had to pay double the amount, which is $10,000. No, not $10,000. I said shit. I wanted $20,000 and I had to pay $10,000 extra, which was $30,000. So now I have to pay $60,000. And because I do have $60,000, I'm left with a situation where I had to call it quits with the car or pay the $60,000. And that is robbery. Because either if I pay the $60,000, guess what? The car could be worth $100,000. If I pay the $60,000, they just made $80,000 on my head. Did I say it right? Yes. No. Yes, because I wanted $20,000. The car is worth $100,000. So if I don't pay the $60,000, they just made $80,000 because that's how much the car worth. And if I pay the $60,000, they just made $40,000 on my head. So either or, whichever one I choose, they win. And that is robbery, increasing that which is not theirs. All right? Increasing that which is not theirs. All right? And the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, He's going to bring judgment upon Esau for that. All right? Because he raping and robbing, the whole world. There's the final precept here. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 10 and verse 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Yeah, and the Lord gonna take the kingdom from him. He's gonna rip the kingdom from him, because what he got rich by unrighteous dealings and injuries and gotten rich by deceit. And if this is not America, then America, Babylon the Great does not exist, and the scriptures they're not truth. All right, so I hope this was edifying. All right. Oh, another means by how they rob you is by mortgages. Would mortgage go back to dead pledge? All right, you take out a mortgage, and the mortgage might be for like 30 years, and you pay 80% of this mortgage, and you might miss some payments, and then they come and they seize your property saying that you missed payments, so you have to move out from your property. So now all the years of making those payments are gone down the drain, and they just flip that house or that property to somebody else and keep increasing. All right, which is wickedness. All right, which is wickedness. That is how the wicked gets rich, by wickedness and robbery. All right. So I want to give all praises, honor and glory to Yahweh Shemel and Shai. I want to give double honors to the apostles of great mercy and do rule well. Salutation to the men of the hopeful and sincere elect. There's a brother Marcus out here in Trinidad saying Shalom and stay strong. Shalom.